Hi guys, welcome to the Music B&B. My name is Callum and today we're reacting to an artist known as Good Guy with the EP Das Letzte Evangelium, which I think I just butchered there, but it means the last gospel. Now bear with me, I've got a bit of like an intro thing to say, just a bit of background about the artist. So it's Good Guy's debut EP. Good Guy, whose real name is Ramsey Dunlap, is a San Francisco-based advocate for homeless people by day and an electronic music and sound artist by night. Good Guy's The Last Gospel is an introduction to a new genre of music created by the artist, which he's calling Nightmare Pop. Nightmare Pop, as a music genre, is the messier, darker, more dynamic sister of Dream Pop, and I do like some Dream Pop sounds, so this should be interesting to hear like the inverse of that. Nightmare Pop is an eclectic sound that borrows from jazz, electronica, heavy metal, hip-hop, alternative, and post-punk movements of the late 20th century. Artists such as Kanye West, Soundgarden, Daft Punk, Lana Del Rey, The Roots, David Bowie, Joy Division, and more play influential roles in this. What a weird mix of artists. This should be very interesting. These artists embrace a darker and more introspective approach to the sound and aesthetics. So yeah, if you want to find out more about Nightmare Pop, what it's about, I have in the description a big long thing explaining what that is, so you can read that while I'm listening to the songs. Bear in mind that this is a longish album, so I might cut to the points where I'm speaking so that you guys don't get bored, but there is a link to the album. It'll be linked in the description down below so you can go and check out the full experience for yourself, and I implore you to do that. Is that the right word? Urge you to do that. Okay, let's dive into it. Let's listen to it. I've been sent a WAV file of it. So we've got 5 tracks, I believe. Track list goes The Gospel, Lately, The Gospel of Thomas, Drown, The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, Miles, Mechanical Morning, and Yol is the last one. I would tell you when we're on to each track if I can spot where the next track is. I've been sent those 5 tracks as one single track, just as kind of like a little special thing for me. Let's dive into it. We're starting with the first track, which is The Last Gospel. Oh, it's not super long. It's half an hour album. What am I on about? More of an EP. Okay, yeah, I'm hearing the rock-inspired stuff. So I'm wondering if this is about, like, all the gospel stories that maybe weren't told in the Bible. I don't know. Speeding up already. Urgent. Sounds urgent to me. Just feels like Diet Doom. Like if you ever played the game Doom, you've got like the rock elements, well, the metal elements in it. This feels like the rock version of that. Not sure how to feel about it at the moment. I mean, if there's one word I'd describe, it's probably on edge. Like, this sounds very anxiety-inducing as music. It really does. Wondering where this is going to like end up creeping to. I'm feeling a bit bored at the moment. Like we're still at the same kind of place here. We've been here for 3 minutes, kind of. Okay. I think maybe it's because we're only having like gradual changes. There's no like huge change coming at once. And where sections are like shifting and becoming interesting. Like we've still got the ding 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 in the background, things have dropped out, and now we're adding in some different sounds, like I heard doo-doo-doo-doo, which is okay. I think it's got that gradual evolution to it. So I'm wondering if we're going to spot when the next track comes. Or maybe it will. That's finished. Okay, so on to our second track. Second track is called... What's it called? What's it called? I was trying to find it. I've lost it. Find it again. Find it again. It's called Lately, the Gospel of Thomas. So I'm feeling like this is Lately, the Gospel of Thomas. There is a link down below. There's a link to the EP. I've been sent a lot of stuff, so just finding it all. Yeah, this is available on the freemusicarchive.org. 5 tracks are clearly shown there. Very unusual, but I'd say it's in the same world as the first track. And you know what it feels like? It feels like there's like you give like your keyboard to a toddler, and then and that's all this sounds like to me. And I'm sorry, I know it's experimental, and there are people out there that love this stuff. To me, it's just there's not enough changing up going as well. The drums are just feels like someone just had a fun time just messing around. Like they had a good old drink or something, and then just going a bit, yeah. Also have a problem with MIDI guitar. Would have been cool if it was actually played in. I'm not even sure what key this is in. Is it just chromatic? What would Thomas think about this gospel? Now we got the Totemosh. Now moving on to the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. And if you know anything about Mary Magdalene, well, let's say no more. Oh. Pretty slow. Is this going to be the sad affair of Mary Magdalene? This is a 7.5 minute track. If it's this kind of pacing throughout with the same looped drums, I'm not interested. I'm not here for it. I'm sorry. I see what you're driving at with Nightmare Pop. I can see what we're going for with it, but actually, I've heard music like this before, and I wouldn't put it under Nightmare Pop. I'd put it under experimental music. And I know we're saying taking elements of jazz, but also feel like jazz is just an umbrella term for kind of any kind of like, I can do whatever key I want thing, any project you do. And I do feel like a lot of jazz people would not put this as inspired by jazz, put it under that umbrella. And I think it's an easy term to say, I'm going to put it under jazz, just so I can go crazy with my chords. Fight me in the comments. it would be okay if something else happened with the percussion. And I think not enough time or thought consideration has gone into percussion on this project. And I feel like more time needs to be spent on that, because a looped drum pattern is boring. I'm sorry, it's boring, especially at this pace. Very sad. I hope Mary Magdalene's okay. Okay. That was way too long. That was way too long. This is Miles's Mechanical Morning. Sounds like a mechanical sound you'd find in like Logic Pro Alchemy. We got a more upbeat drum sound. Let's just hope it's not looped for the whole of the song, because this is also 7.5 minutes. I think I always say this as well when it comes to electronic music, is have some human element in it. I'm not saying have a singer. I'm saying have vocal chops, like maybe like a female voice just chopping, or have some spoken word or something, because the human ear loves to hear something that's human and connect with. And to have something like that would be awesome. You could have some like fake gospel passages in here or something. It does feel like someone looping a drum sound, finding a weird synth, messing around with it for 7 minutes, then also finding another weird synth, going somewhere along that looped line, playing it for a bit, getting another one, playing it in. And I don't think with any thought to chords and structures like that. I could be wrong. My ear's probably not amazing for unusual chord things. And you could be like, oh, that's a C, F major on a P sharp 9. And maybe it is carefully considered. But to me, it doesn't sound like... It sounds like when I give my kid a keyboard to play with. And it's dun, 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 dun. So sorry if I am being brutal. Perhaps I am. But to be honest, check out some of my other videos. I've reviewed some other sort of experimental electronic stuff. And I'm probably a bit too brutal with that kind of stuff. But I can imagine a few people are. If I'm wrong, let me know, guys. Let me know if you're enjoying this. If you would choose to put this on your walk to work or your drive or whatever. I do love my job though. I get to just listen to sounds for a living. It's pretty cool. This is just someone going with like an effects module thing here. Oh man. Are we done? Are we done? Whew. Okay, we're on to our last one. It's a 7-minute track almost. It's called YOL, or YOHL. Sounds like someone going start a piano, like I don't know. Will this do? Okay, get the next synth. Let's try something else. Okay, let's get another synth. There's a little bit more change up in the percussion on this one, and maybe on the last track too, so it wasn't as like dull in that sense. But when you've heard one track on this project, you've kind of heard all the tracks. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe there's not enough development in sounds or areas. Also, like, silence is golden. So don't forget to stop playing. Maybe introduce a new section that way. It's an interesting project to give to like a YouTube reaction reviewer, definitely, because it doesn't open itself well to things to talk about, especially like lyrically and vocally. Slowing down. Those quiet sounds, they just remind me of like the cheap like RuneScape-esque MIDI sounds. And I know there's like a resurgence of that kind of sound, but it ain't for me. Right. Okay. Good guy. Das Letzte Evangelium. The last gospel. I'm now going to rate this project on different criteria. The flow, the artwork, the production, and I might add an extra one, experimentation. There we go. There's a few things. So the flow of the album, I'm going to give the flow probably a 5 out of 10. I thought it was very samey throughout. Both in the melodies, just felt very chromatic and disjointed and unorganized. And I know that's probably the style that we're going for, but that's all it was throughout. And then in terms of how things developed, it was like, okay, we're going to remove one synth, we're going to add in a new synth. And it just felt like everything was like, bring one in, remove one, bring one in, remove one. Didn't feel like there were full new sections of new ideas. It was just a gradual thing until then you'd had enough of the idea. So yeah, flow-wise, 5 out of 10. Artwork, I'm going to give that a 10 out of 10. That looks very nice. It looks intriguing and different. But it looks very Catholic and Christian. Now, I don't know if this project is supposed to be like that, but that could be off-putting for people who are non-religious and things like that. So maybe it could seem darker. If this is nightmare pop, let's make it darker, perhaps. So artwork, yeah, 10 out of 10. I'm going to keep it 10 out of 10 because it does. I like it. I enjoy it. Production, I'm going to give that a 10 out of 10. I thought everything was produced nicely. There was nothing too jarring or out of place. Everything fitted in nicely. I would say that it felt very MIDI, and I would have liked maybe some live sounds in it, but that's personal preference and not a production problem. Experimentation. I'm going to give the experimentation side of things probably a 5 out of 10. 2, just because... Actually... Maybe a 3 out of 10, just because there wasn't enough change and thought into things and how that things develop. There was a lot of looping going on. It would have been interesting if there was like maybe live drumming instead to see what would happen with that, and maybe you could have a go at replacing all those instruments now with live instruments just to see what happens, see how that sounds. So yeah, if I had to give this project a rating, I'd probably give it maybe a 5 or a 6 out of push. And that's me being generous because it's really not what I'm into. Personally, I'd give it lower, but I can see the merit in this kind of stuff, and I know there are people that enjoy it out there, so I'm being generous. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I don't know. What did you guys think in the comments? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know what you feel about this music, because if we're talking about independent music, we're helping independent artists. In a world where everyone wants to be heard and no one is doing the listening, be the one that does the listening. Goodbye, I guess.
Bye, ladies and gentlemen.